you know your brain is the only organ that you can change? It's called neuroplasticity, and I want to share with you why this is so cool from a biblical perspective. So when you're born with a fully functioning amygdala. That's the part of your brain that's like fight or flight. Give me food. I need you to change my diaper. But you also have this part of your brain that's called the hippocampus. Now, it's not fully developed when you're born, but it grows over time. The hippocampus and the amygdala are like best friends. They talk to each other. You see, your amygdala doesn't have a time frame. It doesn't know if you're 7 or 37. It just wants to keep you out of danger. But your hippocampus lets the amygdala know we're safe, we're fine, everything's okay. That was before, this is then. Well, when trauma occurs, anytime you're feeling powerless, the disruption of communication between the hippocampus and the amygdala get wider and wider. Therefore, it can't help your amygdala when you're sitting in that small group or dealing with your husband. You feel like you're just going to be triggered because you don't realize that you're 37 instead of 7. But here's something that is so cool. When we share our stories from the past and bring them to the present, and we share them and grieve them in a safe place, the hippocampus and the amygdala start moving back towards each other, start communicating with each other, bringing regulation, integration, and shalom back to your brain. So when God says to renew your mind, that's what he meant. How cool is that? Did you know that your brain is the only organ that you can change? It's called neuroplasticity, and I want to share with you why this is so cool from a biblical perspective. So when you're born with a fully functioning amygdala. That's the part of your brain that's like fight or flight. Give me food. I need you to change my diaper. But you also have this part of your brain that's called the hippocampus. Now, it's not fully developed when you're born, but it grows over time. The hippocampus and the amygdala are like best friends. They talk to each other. You see, your amygdala doesn't have a time frame. It doesn't know if you're 7 or 37. It just wants to keep you out of danger. But your hippocampus lets the amygdala know we're safe, we're fine, everything's okay. That was before, this is then. Well, when trauma occurs, anytime you're feeling powerless, the disruption of communication between the hippocampus and the amygdala get wider and wider. Therefore, it can't help your amygdala when you're sitting in that small group or dealing with your husband. You feel like you're just going to be triggered because you don't realize that you're 37 instead of 7. But here's something that is so cool. When we share our stories from the past and bring them to the present, and we share them and grieve them in a safe place, the hippocampus and the amygdala start moving back towards start communicating with each other, bringing regulation, integration, and shalom back to your brain. So when God says to renew your mind, that's what he meant. How
Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so I wanted to share that clip because when we are crowdfunding, many times we go through rejection. We'll go through ups and downs in our emotions. We'll go through different things that we're facing even in life. And it's guaranteed that past thought processes will come up. It's just guaranteed. There's no way that you can receive this amount of money without having some kind of past trigger, unless you've worked through a lot of them already. And if you have, even better, you'll go through this process faster. But here's the thing. It's not bad to have these things come up. You know, a lot of the time when negativity comes up in our mind, we just tell ourselves, oh, be positive, be positive. Well, do you realize that doesn't work either? Especially if it's something truly, truly deep rooted, right? I could give you all sorts of affirmations. Oh yeah, I'm enough. Oh yeah, I love myself. Oh yeah, I'm valuable. Oh yeah, I am worth a lot of money. Like we can do stuff like that. And it's not that those things are wrong. It's just if we haven't grieved what these what caused these processes and these thought patterns in the first place, then we're not going to be able to say these affirmations without being like, BS, I don't believe you, Jessica. So I wanted to walk through an exercise today to give you an example of how I've walked through a lot of these emotions and let myself grieve them and then come out stronger to take action in the first place. The idea here is that a general of a battle, can he really predict the outcome of a battle? Not really. That's in God's hands. But can he control his emotions to lead his men through the battle? Yes, he can. And a lot of you who are crowdfunding are on missions to create some impact in the world. And you have people that you're leading through this. So if you don't process through your emotions quickly and effectively, you won't be able to lead the impact that you want to make. Now, that may sound daunting, but it actually is very, very simple. According to this video, what we need to do is we need to bring these thoughts and traumas and things that have created these thought patterns in the process of our life to the front, to the forefront, the front of the battlefield. We need to share our story. We need to share our traumas. Now, we want to do it in a safe place that is a place where you can grieve. This could be anywhere. This could be with a coach, and I definitely walk my clients through places like this. This could be with a therapist, counselor, friend, even. Simon Sinek says, if you just have one friend that you can share for 8 minutes a day with that friend, you can completely rewire your nervous system. You completely rewire your brain, because if that one friend just has 8 minutes, you can completely come out of that conversation in a different way. And it's because of this process of the amygdala and the hippocampus being needing to come together. And those 8 minutes can make all the difference. So it's not going to take long today. We're going to walk through this process, and I'm going to give you an example, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to walk through this process as well. So the way that you work through your emotions, not ignore them, not tell yourself be positive when you're not feeling positive, is you bring the stories to the forefront. So we all tell ourselves stories, right? Things happen in our past and we made up a story about it. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't really matter. Perception is reality when strong emotions occur. So finances is an example I'm going to bring to the forefront, but you could use rejection. You could use people don't understand me. You can use all sorts of different things to work through this process. Now, I'm going to use finances. So a big story. These are the literal words you want to use. The story that I tell myself is, okay, this works in a relationship too. Let's just say you're feeling like a victim with your partner, with a sibling, with a mother-in-law, with anybody. You can use these words to mend relationships as well. But it first starts with you. So first start with yourself. The story I tell myself when I see a empty bank account is, that's my example. What's your example? The story I tell myself when someone doesn't understand me is, the story I tell myself when nobody responds to my text messages is, the story that I tell myself when people don't donate fast enough is, the story that I tell myself, if you get the idea, right? So bring a specific example to the forefront and say, the story that I tell myself is, hey, Tegan, hey, Karen, welcome. So we're going to be working through emotions today. Hey, JD, welcome. So the story that I tell myself is, the story I tell myself when I see a empty bank account is that nothing will ever change, that I'll always be broke, that I'm not safe, that I have to work really hard in order to provide for myself. The story that I tell myself is, I'm not good enough to run a business. I'm not a business person. The story that I tell myself is, I'm alone. Nobody understands me. This is not worth it. Why am I even doing this? The story that I tell myself is, what's the point? The story that I tell myself is, I can't ask for help. The story that I tell myself is, everyone will think I'm dumb and stupid if I ask for help. to cover my bills. The story that I tell myself is that nothing will ever change. You get the idea, right? Because then you're bringing it neutral. Really, these emotions can feel so strong, but at the end of the day, it's actually a neutral thing that we can choose to step into something different. So it doesn't feel neutral. I'm not saying it doesn't feel neutral, but it is neutral. Like these are things that everybody has faced. Well, a lot of people, and but not everyone has faced it the way you have. And so there's very, very specific things that we all bring from these stories into our value. Make sense? If it makes sense, say makes sense. So what's your story? The story that I tell myself is, and you can go ahead and say it out loud right now. The story that I tell myself when I see XYZ is. All right, keep going. You may have emotions come up. Let them go. Like grieve them. Like let them go. Let this place be a space to grieve it. Give yourself permission to grieve. Okay. Now I want you to write down what came up for you. If you have a pen and paper, or you can record yourself too. So all these thoughts that just came up, they're probably going to come up again. Hopefully with not so much emotion tied to it next time because you've given some space to grieve it and to acknowledge it, right? Doesn't work to just ignore these things. You've got to face them and grieve them. Okay. Next, you're going to step into part two, which is the story that I choose. So the story that you choose. It can feel like we don't have a choice when these emotions come up and our amygdala and hippocampus go away, like she was saying in the video. It can feel like we don't have a choice, and that's just a lie. That's just a lie, especially in times from feeling powerless, like she mentioned. Um, that's when those emotions came in. That's when we felt like we didn't have a choice. That's when we told ourselves we don't have a choice. So instead of staying in those emotions, saying I have a choice, the story that I choose to step into, or that the story that I choose is that I am safe, right? That's a big one for me. Feeling unsafe with finances. Um, so the story that I choose is I am safe. I'm taken care of. Uh, I'm not the dictator of the results, right? The story that I choose is that I can create something different today, right? It's so overwhelming to choose that for like all the days, but just choose it for today, right? The story that I choose today, right? The story that I choose is that I can create income today. The story that I choose is that of impact. The story that I choose is that I am safe, I'm taken care of, God's got me. Um, that this has kind of a biblical bent since of that video. I haven't seen anyone else share about that from a non-biblical perspective. So whether you believe in the Bible or not, it doesn't really matter. This is science, right? That the Bible, she's relating the Bible to. But if you want to, you can say a verse, a Bible verse, um, the truth to believe for for what you choose. And that's the thing, right? Truth can be truth, but if we don't choose it, then it's 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 not our perceived, truth. So you got to choose the truth. You got to choose your story that you're stepping into and believe that you have complete power to do that. So the story that I choose is that uh, I am powerful. The story that I choose is I have a choice. The story that I choose is uh, I have ability to create today. So what is the story that you choose? I'll give you a second to say that to yourself. The story that I choose is. Okay, if you have a pen and paper, you can write that down as well. Sometimes what I literally have to do is to regulate myself. I have to say, Jessica, you're safe. You're safe. You're taken care of. It's okay. We have to have self compassion for ourselves too. So that's step two, choosing our story for today. Tomorrow could be a different story, but choose it for today. Okay? What are you choosing today? Write it down. Okay, now that you've written it down, we're going to go into part three, which is the action that I choose. Hey, Haruka, welcome, welcome. We're just walking through an exercise to regulate our emotions while we crowdfund, while we go through this journey of artist entrepreneurship, while we create things that we've never created before. So that's what we're doing right now. Step one is to acknowledge the story that you have made up about different emotions that come your way. Part two is to choose another story. What story do you choose today? And then we're going into part three, which is the action that I choose. Okay, so um, however long you need to grieve, grief is not cyclical. Grief is it pops up all sorts of places. So when you feel these emotions rise up again, you may need to take some space to grieve it with a friend in a safe place, with yourself through this exercise, through prayer, whatever, however you do to regulate yourself. And the faster that you shift as a general of your mission, the faster that your men, so to speak, uh, will create the results with you. If you as the leader are not shifting, then how can they follow you, right? So how can your fans follow you? You get to shift and be the person that shifts the fastest because you're the leader. So that being said, now take a step into action, right? So the action that I choose today could be XYZ. Let's see, I'm trying to think of an example the other day. The other day, the action that I chose was to reach out for help. That was the action that I chose because I couldn't just regulate. Well, I did regulate on my own, but there was a like literal physical solution that had to be done. So I reached out uh, for some help with my finances, and feels vulnerable to say, right? But that's what literally got me over the hump, and then I was fine. It like literally the emotions completely disappeared. It was gone because I just needed to ask for some help. An action could be I'm going to make 10 phone calls today and share about my mission and my vision in the crowdfund. The action could be I'm going to write my story for my crowdfund. I'm going to dive into this story. So it doesn't really matter what the action is. The point is, instead of burying your head in the sand and being like, again, you might have to cry, you might have to like grieve, do that. I think I took a shower and I cried the other day because there was just there was just a lot of pressure from different things, and I just was like, you know what, I I need to grieve this, and I need to acknowledge the emotions that are there. And then I chose a different story, and then I took an action. So that is the three-step process that will always create something, that will always create results. And you as the general of the battle get to shift, not bury your head in the sand, right? And do it in a way that's self-compassion, especially women. I think for men, maybe they need to like punch something. I can't speak from the perspective of a man. Sometimes we need to go work out and go on a walk, women or men. Sometimes we need to eat, sometimes we need to sleep. Um, but the process is very individual for everyone. But the point is, there needs to be some kind of grieving. Some people grieve by like going and working out, right? Like that is their grieving time. Like, and then by the end of it, they feel better because you literally have endorphins in your, you know, in your workout. So there's a lot of different things you can do. This is just one. Uh, Haruka, I see your comment. Crowdfund. Yeah, I have clients crowdfunding right now. You can crowdfund for your original music projects. So that's what we're talking about. The emotions that come when you crowdfund for your original music projects, right? So because you're crowdfunding uh, creative projects and you're receiving money, you're going to have emotions come up. Every money is always tied to value. It always is. Time is tied to intimacy. If you have lack of time, there's an intimacy issue there. If you have lack of money or resources, it's a value thing, right? And so these are very subconscious things that don't just go away during a crowdfund. You have to face them head on, and you're forced to do that. And so that's why I have this exercise in this training. And again, there's no shame in having big emotions, especially as an artist. Man, we're all a sensitive group, but it is our responsibility to work through them and to become a different person through the crowdfunding process. And that's why I'm such a big believer in the crowdfunding process, is because of those things. Okay, so what is your greatest takeaway from this live today? Go ahead and put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. What are you taking away from this live today? What's making sense to you? Were you able to grieve something? Was it something you knew before, or was it new? Right? What's making sense to you? What did you take away from this live today? As you type that, I want to let you guys know, yesterday was the official first day of promo for the Financially Free Artist Summit. Create art, fuel your dreams, and live abundantly. I'm going to be having a guest panel of speakers talk about how to be financially free. I wasn't producing music and putting my projects out because I thought I didn't have the finances. And then I got around artists and entrepreneurs who were actually making it happen. I got in the right rooms. And so this next summit coming up on May 28th is going to be all the people who have done it. We've got Chris Bradley talking about how to produce like a boss. And she was she was a starving artist with an alcoholic addiction, and she's now a 6 and 7 figure business earner from her music. And that's all because she did the work on herself and implemented the right strategies. We've got Miriam Schulman talking about AI for artists, how artists can utilize AI and not be scared of it, but actually utilize it. And then we've got BB Lee talking about how to go past your income ceilings, how to do more healing work like we did today, as well as she's a great sync licensing artist. She's done tons and tons of movies and film, and so we'll be talking a little bit about that as well. So if you're an artist who is curious about how to be financially free and how to create that lifestyle of an artist, this is an amazing event. So if you want to come to it, put Summit below and I'll get you the link. And I'll have to DM you because I'll need to put it there. Oh wow, I'm feeling stressed out, feeling I don't have enough time. It's my biggest stress. Haruko, yeah, that is an intimacy challenge. So number one, always intimacy with yourself, right? Intimacy with yourself. We talked a lot about that today. How are you intimate with the emotions going through you? How do you grieve them and move past them? That's number one. Intimacy with yourself. Intimacy with your schedule would be number two. Do you truly know where your time is going? Have you mapped it out on your calendar? Right? And then number three, intimacy with finances, which is, do you create like time in the week to look over them, to set goals for yourself, to create solutions? Because really, us as humans, we're really amazing. Our brain is really amazing. We create solutions from things that we struggle with. So if you're someone who wants to create some solutions, I would definitely recommend you come to the summit, because there are a lot of people who have created financial freedom within the artist industry. And I'm still on my way. I'll be really honest. I am still on my way. And so I continue to surround myself with people who have done it. What I can do, what I know how to do, is create chunks of money within short amounts of time. And that's what I did. That's why I help artists crowdfund. It's because I had to work through all these emotions to actually get there. Now, to make it sustainable, you've got to get around these artists, right? Yeah, money and time is always what artists struggle with, right? So definitely put Summit in the chat, Haruko. I'll get you the link for the summit, so that you can be around these speakers who have figured it out. Okay, so you're invited to participate in the summit. It is completely free to attend, and it's going to be a really fun time. We're going to have some live parts of the summit where you can talk to the speakers. You can ask them questions. So definitely put Summit in the chat below, and I'll get you the link. If you would like help with crowdfunding your own original projects, that's what I do with artists. I have 2 artists going through it right now. And so if you're someone who wants to crowdfund, put crowd in the chat, and I can get you the information for that. Thanks so much, guys, for joining me today. Today, we talked about how to work through your emotions with a crowdfund. So if you haven't looked at the beginning of this video, definitely watch the replay. I will see you in next Tuesday. We go live Tuesday and Wednesday, 10 a.m. PST. And I work through everything that my artists are going through as they crowdfund. So it includes your signature story, your reward bundles, working through your emotions during a crowdfund, and all that. So if you didn't get a chance to listen, definitely watch the replay, and I'll see you